Astral traveling. Every book I've ever read on the subject of astral traveling involves you learning how to astral travel, learning how to project your astral self or your astral body away from the physical body, whether to visit back home to the other side or to visit friends or neighbors in the county. When you consciously learn to astral travel, you are capable of remembering details. More often than not, though, most people astral travel unconsciously, so they're not even aware that they're doing it. Sometimes you can tell that you've been astral traveling when you get that falling feeling and you jump. And usually it happens when you're asleep. And typically what that is your soul is coming back into your physical body and it's not making a smooth landing. So you'll jump. If you want to stop doing that, you just tell yourself before you go to sleep that, hey, if I'm astral traveling tonight, when I come back I'm going to make a smooth landing, and then it won't happen. The reason why I'd like to approach, or the way I'd like to approach the astral traveling, though, is to talk about when souls astral travel to you. And it is possible that living people who are not always even part of your physical life on a day-to-day basis are able to astral travel to you. And I have a friend who's been doing it since November of 2005. And the first time he showed up was in the middle of the night, and I woke up to see him floating towards me. He was laying on his left side, and he was floating backwards in my direction. And I was laying in bed, so I instinctively moved closer to my husband, lifted up the blankets, and let him just settle in beside me. I covered him up, and I went back to sleep, and when I woke in the morning, he was gone. Since then, there's been many, many astral visits from him. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't. It's very comforting. It's gotten to a point now where he will actually astral travel while I'm driving or, just in a normal course of my day. And one of the recent ones was actually last April when my husband and I were in Jamaica. Stuart astral traveled in one morning. I think it was the second morning we were there. And he sat on the counter to the right beside me and he said, I was doing my hair, and he said, that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that. And I said, understand what? And he said, you straighten your hair and curl it, then you curl it. It doesn't make sense. And I laughed and I said, well, it sort of does because I have menopause hair and it gets kind of kinky. So I straighten the kinks out of it, but then I just curl the ends the way I want them to go. That was the end of the conversation. I answered the question, poof, he was gone. No more astral visit. More recently still, I was on the 401 one day and he popped in my car and he looked at me, he goes, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Use your words. And he started yelling at me to slow down. And he kept yelling, slow down, slow down, slow down. So finally I thought, okay, I don't know why I'm slowing down, but I will. And I took my foot off the gas. I didn't hit the brake, but I took my foot off the gas and let the car decelerate. And what happened was the tractor trailer in the lane beside me, I don't know if he fell asleep, if he was talking on his phone, I don't know what was going on there, but he started coming into my lane. And he came into my lane to the extent that my car was as close to the concrete median as it could get without hitting it. And I was kind of wedged in between the tractor trailer and the concrete median. And although I wouldn't have been killed, because speeds weren't such that I would have been killed, but I certainly would have been injured and my car would have been damaged. And thanks to Stuart, I slowed down and it was all good. I just had to back up and get back on my way again. When he first started doing this, sometimes it seemed he was aware of it because he'd actually ask me. He'd say, well, did I astral travel to your house last night because I know I wasn't home? Sometimes the answer was yes. Sometimes it was no. I don't know where you were, but you weren't haunting me. Sometimes we play memory games because he wanted sort of to prove to himself that he was actually astral traveling. And so we played a couple of games. And the first time we played it, I used 3 large clear quartz crystals. And during his astral visit, I showed him which crystal I wanted him to choose out of the 3. When I physically saw him the next time, I showed him all 3 crystals. And I said, take it in your non-dominant hand, which is left hand for right-handed people and right hand for left-handed people. And I said, hold each crystal one at a time and choose the one that speaks to you. But unfortunately, I hadn't written anything down, so I had no way of proving that actually was the one I told him to choose. So a few weeks later, we played the same game again using 4 small crystals, all different colors and textures, but approximately the same size. And I showed him which 2 I wanted him to choose out of the 4. And I did write it on a piece of paper this time, and I put it in my change purse. So the next time I physically saw him, I took out the 4 crystals and I said, I want you to hold each one in your hand one at a time and choose the 2 that speak to you. And I took the piece of paper out of my change purse and I identified all 4 crystals. After he was done, I identified all 4 crystals and he had chosen the 2 that I had told him to. I think that's hilarious. And only once in the years that he's been astral traveling have I brought a private conversation between he and I down into our physical life. And it was an occasion where he was having a relationship issue. Wasn't a huge deal. It was just something that he was worried about. And he actually astral traveled and talked to me about this. And I remember saying to his mom, who is a spirit, and she's the one who actually brought us together, through my work in connecting them. But she popped in and she said, you need to talk to him about this because he's worrying over nothing. And I went to him and I explained, I said, you astral traveled last night and you told me you're worried about this. And he went, really? I actually talked to you about this? And I said, yes, you did. And I said, you're not to worry about it. This is how this is going to play out. And it was fine. And I think it freaked him out a little bit. On another occasion over the years, I was at a Tim Hortons drive-thru one morning and I had ordered myself a tea and my son was with me. We were going grocery shopping and I placed my order. I got up to the window and I looked at the attendant and I said, could you do me a favor? Could you add a buttered raisin tea biscuit to my order? And my son, who was probably about 10 at the time, looked at me and he said, Mom, you don't like buttered raisin tea biscuits, do you? And I said, no, but Stuart does. And I just heard him say he's hungry. And so we were going shopping close to where Stuart worked and where I was working at the time because we did work together. And I walked through the store until I found him and I handed him the bag and I said, here, I heard you say a few minutes ago that you were hungry, so I bought you a tea biscuit. And his jaw just dropped open and he went, oh my God, I said that not 10 minutes ago. And I said, yes, I know. I was at the Tim Hortons drive-thru and I heard you, so I bought you a tea biscuit. So souls can astral travel, and you're not to be freaked out by that unless it is negative in some way, and that can happen. I've heard of people who've had souls that are intentionally, what's the word I'm looking for, like stalking them, I guess, or being negative or having an oppressive energy, and that is possible. But in a case like that, what you need to do is, before you go to sleep at night, put up a wall and basically just put it out to God that you're not welcoming any negativity. Like that is a rule in my world when I'm dealing with any souls, whether it's living beings or the deceased. And in my role as a medium, I see a lot of different situations, but I do not welcome negativity unless it's meant to heal someone. So if they're bringing up something that's negative with the intention of healing something or resolving an issue, that's okay. So my rule is the souls on the other side and the souls that are living are welcome in my world as long as they are here to help, to heal, to lift your spirits, or to warn you of something. If they have a bone to pick, whether it's with the living or with the other side, I'm not getting involved in that. I choose to keep positive energy only in my life. So I know when Stuart astral travels that it's coming from a place of love and positive intention, or sometimes just simply for comfort for him, or to keep me out of trouble, obviously, and I'm very grateful for that.